I must rise today in opposition to H.R. 4173. Regulatory reform of our financial system is indeed needed. However, rather than using this opportunity to enact meaningful reform that creates financial stability and encourages economic growth, the majority has constructed a massive piece of legislation that will restrict credit availability and does little to address the real problems in the financial industry. In addition to dramatically expanding the power of the Federal Reserve and establishing what is in effect a credit czar, who will have virtually unlimited authority to restrict consumer choices, this bill creates a permanent bailout, some would call slush fund, for so-called too-big-to-fail companies, funded by a $150 billion tax on financial institutions. This tax will reduce available capital for lending and will most certainly be passed on to consumers in the form of higher fees. As the ranking member of the Agriculture Committee, I also rise in opposition to Title III, the OTC derivatives title that is currently in H.R. 4173. This same title was adopted by the Financial Services Committee. I opposed this title in the committee, where I'm also a member, because it makes it too costly for end users to manage risk and unnecessarily ties up capital that could otherwise be used to create jobs and grow businesses. However, Chairman Peterson, Chairman Frank will bring an amendment to the floor that will strike and replace this derivative title. This Peterson-Frank amendment is the product of negotiations between our two committees. I prefer, I must admit, the version reported by the Agriculture Committee. But this compromise is significantly better than the current title in the bill, and I will support its inclusion. But I support its inclusion only if the other secondary amendments that may be offered by my friends on the other side of the aisle are defeated, save one. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Chairman Peterson for working with the Agriculture Committee Republicans in a process that started back in February when our committee reported out H.R. 977. Chairman Peterson worked in good faith to address issues our members brought to the table, and we learned together the concerns of all the participants in the over-the-counter derivatives markets. Although we were able to address some of these concerns, many still remain unresolved. We were able to improve areas most important to end users, the manufacturers, the energy companies, and food processors that use swap agreements to manage price risk so they can provide consumers with the lowest cost products. End users should not be regulated as though they were major financial houses residing on Wall Street. They did not cause the financial collapse. They should not be regulated like they did. I would have preferred language that would have made clear that only those entities that can have a significant adverse impact on the U.S. financial system be regulated as major swap participants. Similarly, I don't understand why market makers that only deal in cleared products need to have additional capital and margin requirements imposed upon them by the federal government. Finally, we should not forget that new opportunities, innovative products and services, and ultimately economic growth are born from people willing and able to take risk and invest. We should not attempt to regulate risk out of existence. As it stands now, the Peterson-Frank Amendment allows the appropriate financial regulator to closely monitor market trends and market participants who may generate too much risk for a healthy, robust financial system. This amendment also gives the regulator the appropriate tools to reduce risk before it can negatively affect our economy. The Peterson-Frank Amendment isn't perfect, but it is a marked improvement over other legislative efforts, either proposed or considered. Mr. Chairman, I reserve the balance of my time.